Hello everyone, and before I start things I would like to explain something. Well, this is going to be the start of a very long and maybe boring tutorial series, but the thing I wanted to do right here is to make a tutorial series in which I cover every single aspect of building a roller coaster without any time lapses with music, without any skipping ahead, every single part of the process and everything explained, just because I couldn't find any tutorial on YouTube regarding everything that just the entire process. That's the thing. Just the entire process, the very complicated thing that goes into building these roller coasters. There's no insight to any new person who doesn't really know how things work to this, and that's where my tutorial comes in. I'm planning on making this a tutorial that if you don't have any patience you won't get through it, but if you do have the patience to listen to me or just listen to me on the background and just watch every now and then, that you can get a little bit of info about how I built these coasters, what the entire process is like for me, and just in the meantime I can give you some hints and tips as well. So today I'm going to start off by doing the layout, of course, which is, well, one of the, if not the most important thing of the entire process, because many things actually take a lot of time, and the easiest thing is to make the layout, but it's also one of the most important things regarding that. If you're building a coaster in Roller Coaster 3, the layout, if the layout is bad, it's hard to make anything out of it. And if the layout is good and you make some bad scenery around it, then I view that as, well, a waste of a good layout, but not really as a bad coaster. But anyway, I think I'm going to go for B&M sit down, just because it's a very generic and, well, generally a coaster that's easy to make and many people do, and it's, when it comes to generic coasters that resemble every type of other coaster in a way, it's kind of B&M sit down. It's a safe choice. And regarding that, I'll just make the track black, because I'm not going to choose a color scheme yet. This is also a small hint that I would give anyone. Only start doing the color scheme once you finish the layout and actually got a theme in your head, and that's the way you'll get a good color scheme out of it, most likely. Oh, and turn the grid on. It always helps. Right, so what I usually do is I make a station about 6 or 8 squares long. Not longer, not shorter, and also not 7. I always want to have even numbers and not odd numbers for a station. Not sure why, but it always helps. It's easier to make a station that exists out of even numbers in length and odd numbers in width. But anyway, right. Well, normally you would also always want to have a lift hill right after the station. Now there are a couple of things you can do. You can perhaps do a lift hill right after it without anything else, but you can also make it go down like 1h and then do a little curve and then put in the lift hill right over there. And then the other thing you can do is make a curve like this, which is actually pretty common with real life hypercoasters and all that jazz. But oh well, you can do that, but you can also make it go straight like this if this thing will actually cooperate. Right, so those are some things you can do, but for now I just want to go with something simple, and I just want to have a medium curve leading up to the lift hill. I said medium curve, damn it. This game's controls is sometimes annoying. Right, and then I usually just have a lift hill right here. You can add a little brake run of 1 space, but I don't think the coaster has too much speed here yet, so it's not really that logical to add a brake run yet. Right, so once you've reached your desired height, I would recommend you to make a small pre-drop, which is this kind of thing, and then actually go into the real drop and not just straight away like this. Because the thing is, once you do this, the car will go down and pull the cable down as well, and that's not good for the cable. It'll break down after a while. That's why in real life B&M coasters usually have a pre-drop to get some stress off the cable. And then you've got a couple of options, but the first drop is not really one of the most complicated parts of a layout. Generally there are some standard formulas you can follow, like The one where you've got like a helix going down like this, or perhaps just like this. Then there's the scenario where you can add a little thing like this and then make it go down, which is somewhat common in real life. But the easiest method is probably just to go down like this. Now, and I think, yeah, in general, you want the coaster to be about this height, just above the ground, but also not touching the ground, because when it touches the ground, that's usually not really good. But you also don't want it to hover way too high up in the air like it is right now, so I'm going to lower it one. Right. Oh, and when it comes to, if you want to add a looping, for example, then this is probably going to be your desired height difference with the lift hill. It has to be about 4 or 5 lower. I see some people doing this and then make it go straight into the loop, but that's not a good idea because it's going to be very slow if you do it this way. It's worked out in RCT3 though, that's why I remember. Now, I don't know. I might do something very generic. I'll add a cobra. Because the general layout of a very boring and usual B&M coaster, a sit down like this one, is more often than not just lift hill, couple of inversions, and then mid-course brake run, couple of inversions, helix maybe, and then you're done. So I want to follow that formula, as boring as it can be though. And I think I'm going to go for a cobra in the beginning. This can be anything. This could be a dive loop combination. It really depends on what you want, but I think I'm going for the cobra roll today. And just for the sake of showing that later on, I'm going to touch the ground right here, because I also want to get some more speed, because of course the second inversion will have to be just a little bit lower than the first one. And yeah, well, this is a tutorial coaster. I can get an MCBR right here, I think. Even though this is a small coaster, you generally don't want to have MCBRs with small coasters like this, but I just want to show off how to get everything, so just ignore this for once. This is usually not a very good idea. I'm not even sure if it will reach that. I might add a different kind of hill, which will be smoother anyway. Yeah, that's a better idea. Right, so MCBR. I'm not going to slow it down too much. This is never, ever, ever slow down your coaster too much on an MCBR. It's just annoying. I mean, real life coasters do that as well, but it's generally not very cool, you know. Nobody likes it when you have an MCBR that really slows down the coaster and takes the speed out of it. Right, so now I could add some interlocking corkscrews, because everybody likes interlocking corkscrews, and I can always just do a little tutorial on how you can make those, but then again, they're kind of mainstream. I've got a better idea. I might just add some interlocking corkscrews that kind of go into the ground. But I'm not sure if this is going to work out. The distance is alright though. And yeah, I should be good to go right now. But just to be sure, I'm going to test the ride. Should always test it while building, and actually I forgot to do that because I'm not really used to doing that. But then you can really see really well while building the coaster, while maybe even in paused mode, if the speed is actually good enough. But as you can see, the speed is actually pretty decent. There's a minor lag though, I wonder why that is. Right, so oh, it kind of slows down on the MCBR. I'm going to have to change that probably. Yeah. Plus the airtime hill is a bit slow as well. Well, there's not... Yeah, I can do something about that. I can do something about both those things. Just going to get rid of this little gentle slope right there. And then it should be good. Right, so about the MCBR. Instead of clicking every single brake, it's just a lot more easy to get rid of all of them and just put some new ones in there. Right, so now the interlocking corkscrew, it's actually not a very hard thing to do. And I want the track to come out right here, so I want the interlocking corkscrew to go that way. So no, I don't want it to go, yeah, I do want it to go that way, so that the other interlocking corkscrew will go over here and go right into the station. Now I don't think I have space left for a transfer track then. Oh well, I'll see about that. And the general way I would go about doing that. This is always a bit tricky, but it depends on what you want. But I think I usually do this. I'm going to have to do a bit of trial and error here though. Right. So good. Oops, wrong corkscrew. Yeah, that's perfect. Oh no, that's not perfect. Nope, nope, nope. Big fat nope. I often see people doing this where they're really close to each other, but this is one block too close. I'm going to have to move the second one. Might not be as smooth as I want it to, but oh well. It's better than corkscrews that are too close to each other and almost hit each other. And for the sake of a transfer track, I think I'm going to move the station, but I'm still not sure if I can actually add a transfer track to this now. Right. I think I can find a fix to that actually. I can move it 2 blocks, but then I'll have to move this entire area. Okay, I'm going to skip it right now just because this is going to be boring, but I'll be back in. Right, so all I've done is just make this little thing right here 1h lower, which means that I had to get one gentle slope to go down and another gentle slope to get up. So that means I got 2 more spaces over here and just enough space to do a little transfer track, or if I don't get a transfer track, just a brake before it hits the station. Because if you don't have brakes before it gets into the station, that's generally not a good idea, because, well, about every single roller coaster in the world has that. It's just not a good idea to not have brakes in front of the station, and they shouldn't be too sudden either, because then you're going to hurt your peeps, of course. But right now though, the track is touching almost everywhere, and I know it really sounds like I contradicted myself here, but I'm going to fix that later on with the terraforming, so don't worry about that. So right now this is the layout of the coaster, and this is how it's going to be. And I know it looks like a generic and maybe boring layout, but this is the formula that most of the coasters like this follow. Just lift hill, then a couple of inversions and other stuff, then an MCBR and some airtime hills. We've got one airtime hill over here, a little almost helix thing, and the double corkscrews, of course. So that's it for this episode of the tutorial, and in the next episode I'm going to start doing terraforming and other things that you have to do before you go into actually making the scenery. So till then.